everyone on this fine, glorious new day. I was asked something yesterday by another quilter if I do freehand motion quilting, and I said yes. I just use my normal sewing machine, and I don't have no special foot, so I just do free motion. And so what I did is I cut a piece, just a piece off the crumb yardage that I put all together, and I will show you what I do. Of course, there's nothing on the back of this one, just the deal, but I will show you what I do. I just stick it on the machine. Most of the time it'll have a batting on it, and I'll show you shortly, because I'm going to make one of the cards. And try not to say the word a million times. There I go. But I just put it on the machine. Of course, when you normal, it's just normal straight stitch. I have it set at 3, which is in the middle of my knob, and I just straight stitch, just set straight stitch, of course, and then you just turn your fabric. If you want to go wiggly, you just don't want to go 100 miles an hour, because you kind of want to let the, and no, my feed dogs are still there, they're still up, and you can do a circle, you can do a straight, you can do, however you want. This is just, to me, this is free motion quilting. And I'm just going to go around, and then I'll pull it off, and hopefully we can see, because I just have white thread on here. So let's go over here to the end. I don't like stopping in the middle of it. And I will show you that it's not really going to show. Maybe you can see it. Oh, it's not really going to show, is it? Maybe it will. Here's a card I did, because I made a previous video and it was all messed up with the sound. But here's a card I did with free motion quilting, and trying to get an angle so you can see. It's just done with white thread, and I just made little circles and zigzags and nothing special. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna do little bubbles and things that the actual long arms can do. But for me, this works perfect. It's just simple for me, and when I do it on a full-size quilt, I roll up the quilt inside here, and then I just let it go, and I have, to that side of my machine, I have a big table, and I will put my machine so it kind of, the quilt will lay on the table, and it kind of just guides, like I said, you don't want to go like you're on the Indianapolis 500, because it won't work that way. But here's how I make the cards from scratch of when I said I used fleece. This is just a fleece blanket. You can get them at, it's just and this one happened to have puppies on it, and I just prefer the fleece to batting, but that's a preference. That's a perfectly preference. And then what we're going to do here is, this is a piece I cut off of that big crumb fabric I had, and I'm probably going to make the card. Let's see, this piece, I don't know, actually How about this one? This one looks really good. Or, yeah, let's cut it out of that one right there. Yeah. So I just take the card, whatever piece that you do, I just take the card, open it, and I put it on underneath. It's underneath, and then kind of fold it, and that'll give me an idea of what the card would look like. And I think I'm going to move it over. I don't like that side there. But that kind of would give you the front. Then what I do is take this piece of fleece, and I'm just going to free cut a section out of that. I'm just going to free cut a section before I measure it. I'm just cutting a big piece here. Yes, I know that seems weird after sewing it all together that I'm going to just cut a big piece without measuring it. It's because I want to make sure before I do cut it that that's what I want in here. Sorry if I dropped my... Just make sure you're opening. However, I mean, a lot of people do their cards this way when you get them. Your card opens this way. Either way, it's a personal preference. And I think that looks really good. Like, I like that. Let's see here. No, I like it this way. Like that. Yes. So then I take this fleece. Make sure your fleece is not smaller than your card. Make sure it's bigger. Because when you quilt to your piece, it is going to shrink. So, you know, my fleece is about that much bigger than the card. Like, the standard rule of thumb is using 1/4 of an inch bigger on each side, meaning these cards are 5 by 7, so you would use 7 1/4 by 5 1/4, or you can go as big as a 1/2 inch. It's just if you go as big as a 1/2 inch, you would end up cutting extra, whereas if you just do 1/4 of an inch, you're not cutting so much off. Then I just place this piece. Of course, the fabric part is a lot bigger, but I wanted to show you also the free motion quilting at the same time I'm making this card, and I keep moving over, sorry guys. But I will show you, and a lot of times instead of putting a backing on a quilt, I use fleece, and what that does is it makes a nice soft warm back, and then you're not having to deal with a third 3 layers of fabric. You're just doing 2. A lot of people don't like it that way. Just depends on, I swear that word, I am so sorry guys. But it's just, it's a personal preference, or you could use 2 layers of fleece. I prefer just the top and the back side. And then if I'm going to use a 3rd layer for the backing, same thing. I would have a 3rd layer on there for these cards, though you don't want to have that much. There's no reason to have that much thickness. But I'm going to free motion quilt this so you can actually see it. See, there's no, you should be able to see it now. This is the back. There's nothing quilted on it. A few strings. And this is the front. So let's free motion quilt this. But I'm going to do it from the top side. see if I find my foot pedal. But let's just do some squigglies and a squiggly, and hopefully my machine's not drowning my voice out. Sorry if it is. I'm just doing some little squiggles that go back and forth. Again, I'm not pushing the machine. I'm actually letting the machine pull the material for me. And you can just wiggle it back and forth if that's what you want. You could actually make a complete circle. You can make X's, you can make squares. I'm just making like little running, you're just quilting. However, whatever you feel you want to do. And it's, like I said, the machine will pull it for you. Just don't pull against the machine. Like just, you know, you just want to go with the machine, no pull against it. And this is one area you don't want to pretend the machine is like you're at the India 500 and you go really fast, because you won't be able to do it. I don't know, I've never done it really fast, so maybe you could. I mean, if you're really good at it, I suppose you could. Okay, let's check this out and see what it looks like. Let me cut this. Yeah, I use a cutter on my machine, the side of my machine, so much better. There you go, see? And I mean, it's nothing fancy. I don't have a computerized long arm that, I can do. Oh, my nail's in my, hold on, let me just hold it with my thumbs. I don't have a computerized machine. I just have a normal machine, and my dog's upside down. Or, yeah, the little puppy's upside down. But this is a case where it's really not going to make any difference, because this side, where this fleece is going to be towards the card, so nobody will really see it anyway. I just think it's cute. Can't remember. I put this fleece actually on the back of another blanket, and it's on my bed, and it's a California King. I had to use 4 of these. I'd use 4 of these fleece blankets, and I just sewed them together, spliced them in the back, and you really can't tell, because when you do that, you put the seam to the inside, so it's pancaked, and so the seams you can see, but that happens when you gotta splice. Sometimes you have to splice it back together. But this is what it looks like when it is quilted. And we take the card, then you kind of on the back, you can slide the card however you want. Just make sure you're getting inside the fleece and the material top as well. So, see, there we go. Trying to keep my fingers out of the way. Like that. Then you just turn it over. That's what you want. You figure out where you want. And let's see. I think we want it over a little more. No, I think I want it over here. You know, this is a personal preference, and it's also, these cards aren't for a specific person. So they're not, you know, male, female, or an aunt, an uncle, grandma, and grandpa. They're just, it's just a card. Okay, here we go. Let's see. I think that's about how I want it, like that. So what I do here, you can trim it to 7 1/4 by 5 1/4. Me, I'm just going to kind of hand eyeball it, because I, you know, which is really a strange thing to do, because I'm actually, I am actually almost blind. So, excuse me. Sorry. A lot of the things I do are because I know certain things on how to do certain things. Once in a while, I mean, I don't always get my seams the straightest, but I'm not after perfection. It's one of those things. I just wanted to get this card done so that you could see it from start to finish on how I did it. I have an actual scissor sharpener over there. It's quite unique. Here we go. Here we go. See, it just goes. Yes, it's crooked. Oh, I gotta say that. But you're just going like this. And again, even if it is crooked on here, it doesn't really matter because it's meant to symbolize a quilted card. And I didn't trim it with the cutter, but because I wanted to show you what it was like to do it from start to finish. A lot of people will use the Elmer's glue. Like I said previously, I just don't like it. And a lot of people use it, and if you want it to dry, if you dry iron on the fabric side, it does dry, but just make sure you do not use steam. Make sure it's dry. For me, the card still felt wet, which is why I prefer just using the purple glue. And then what I do is, like you've seen in the previous video, ouch, I just take the purple glue, and the previous video that I mentioned was one that I had to scrap because the sound you couldn't hear, nothing but static. And this is how I do it. I just put, little purple glue. I like the purple because I can see it, but if you don't do what you're going to do with it, it does go clear. So we want to get this on here and turn the right way, or it's upside down. Of course, again, it's a card, so if you get it upside down, it's not a break me thing that's going to hurt anything. And then I just kind of center it on the card. And again, if this was cut like exact, it would fit in there pretty close. And then I just take it and squish it between my fingers, put it on the desk, kind of squish it down, and all you're after is making sure that the cardboard sticks to the fleece. Or if you use batting, you want it to stick to the batting. That's all you're after. That's the sole purpose. And from here, see, and then the paper is stuck to the card. See, it's stuck. Here, I'll just hold it by the edge. See, you could shake it and it doesn't come off. The glue holds pretty well. Its purpose again is just to hold the fabric to the card until you can get it stitched. And then what I do is open it up, and then where the card is bound together, or the seam, I use that as my 1/4 inch. And then I bring it to the machine, and I prefer sewing on the cardboard side. Then I don't have to have this so exact, and I don't miss the cardboard. So I just use, I have a section on my foot here that's actually indented, and I have it marked with red, so that, I can see. I am blind, but some things I can see. and it's marked with red, so I just put that red mark right on the crease of the card. I use a straight stitch where it's bound together, the crease. I use a straight stitch right there and 1/4 of an inch. I put the card this side with no fabric on it towards the inside of my machine, and then I just sew. I take a couple stitches backward. Again, this is an area you don't want to force the machine. You kind of just want to let it go through, and it's supposed to go through. Come on, machine. And of course it wants to fight me. But I'm a bigger fighter. And it does the normal thing that it does, and that's fine. So you get to choose your turn. I named this thing Your Turn. And it did its little rat nest thing, which everybody gets them. I just kind of take them out. Use my handy seam ripper that I named Your Turn. Seems like it's fitting. I just kind of rumble it out. Excuse me. And it does its thing. That happens. Or maybe it's only to me. I don't know. Put my seam ripper back in my little holder there. Come on. And we'll try this again. It does that sometimes, as everybody knows. I didn't quite have it under there far enough, or who knows what. So here we go. Just pull it forward. Only go back a couple of stitches, and that's just. And just don't force the machine, and it will. Sorry, it's the paper's noisy. And I just back stitch. I pull it out. I don't turn the corner with it because I'm going to change. And of course, it's not real straight because of. But you get the idea. It's. Whoops. It's. You can see it. It's not real straight. I'm sorry about that. And then I just turn it to, oh, come on. Thank you. This would be the bottom of your card. I turn it to where this edge will be what you put at your quarter mark, like your 1/4 inch seam. That's what you're going to use, is this edge of this board. And you're going to turn your machine to zigzag. And on my machine, I know, in spite of being not so good at seeing, I know if I turn it one time to the left, it turns it to the zigzag. And you do the same thing. You just put that on however you're making your 1/4 inch seam, you put the edge of that card right on that 1/4 inch seam. And turn it to zigzag. You just back up a couple times. And again, don't force the machine. Let it do its thing. You might have to help it from the back, just like you do sometimes fabric. You kind of have to help it from the back. But you don't force it. And then when I get to the end, I do leave the needle down. And then I readjust it, pick the needle up, readjust it, and go down the other side. But again, you just want to kind of you better be sewing. It is. I just want to make sure it's still sewing. It didn't look like it was. I should have changed to a bright colored thread, but I just didn't. So that I could actually see it. Why, it's really hard to see. When you're doing this stuff, it's really hard to see. Okay. And I was right, it quit sewing. Oh, nice. I ran out of bobbin. But that's okay. It happens. Which is why I already have my bobbins. I make like 10 bobbins at a time when I do my bobbins. And then I have them on a little holder. One side has empty, one side has full. So we can do, that's just demonstrating pre-holes, I guess. That's a joke. Not demonstrating pre-holes and cardboard. That don't really help. Come on. I always like to take my thread to the back. Alright, we're going to try this again. First time. Yeah, right. I had a feeling it wasn't sewing. It just didn't feel right. Now we'll try it again. There we go. Now it's doing what it's supposed to. Those are just practicing holes. That's it. Practice holes. Never thought about that. That would work. And coming around the corner. No, I want right there on the edge. I'm not great at talking and sewing at the same time. I can multitask, but talking and sewing isn't always the greatest that I could do. And thus, we have a card. Of course, it's got to be trimmed. Oops. But I wanted you to see it without the trimming part. So that you can see that, yes, it can be free motioned, as I showed you. And when you trim it, you can turn it over, you can hand trim it, you could take it, use a ruler, however is easiest for you to trim. But if you trim it prior to sticking it to the card, it makes it easier. I just wanted you all to be able to see. I prefer not seeing any of the card. Of course, I'll trim this up, especially like on the binding. I don't want to see any of the wet card. And if you wanted to, a person could probably quilt the front and the back, just because it's something different. So I want to thank you everybody for listening, and hopefully I didn't talk too fast. Thank you everyone. Bye-bye.